Hello, and welcome to our today's Decay, where we celebrate births and beginnings of everything important since the dawn of time. May 22nd edition, all day. And what happened? What happened, you ask? Why, in 1914, space was the place, and Sun Ra was the hero we all needed. I never got to see him in the flesh, although I've seen the Sun Ra Orchestra posthumously in regards to Sun Ra. But he was an artist and a visionary, and he will forever be with us in some form or another because he has that sway on his audience. Much like transition, Svengali. That's right. That's why we're reading the original 1894 version of Trilby here. If you can see that, maybe, perhaps, not impossible. Svengali, the film, is based off this original novel, released in 1931. Warner Brothers, I want to say Vitaphone production. Directed by Archie Mayo. Again, is that a question? Somebody from Long Island. Everything sounds like a question, even if I mean it. What I definitely mean is it stars John Barrymore and Marion Marsh. And it is, without question, Hollywood's best stylization of a German expressionist film done right here in the United States of America. I love this movie, everything about it, especially, but not limited to, that one scene where John Barrymore, who, by the way, is like almost impossible to identify. You know, he was known as like the great profile, but they messed with that with makeup for this movie, so that way he looks, well, I mean, that's like a picture of what they styled him as, you know? Anyway, there's just one scene in the movie where, so like John Barry, the Svengali character is like this mesmerist who falls in love or is unhealthily obsessed with one of his students and like convinces her, or maybe like connects with some inner passion of her own and or skill to become this like wonderful musician of her own. And there's this one point where like they're across the town from each other, and he's in his room by himself and just like in like a his own world, and like his eyes roll back in his head and just go like blank white, and the camera just like pulls back like further and further in his room, and he's just like sitting there in this like crazy trance, and then the camera pulls like even further, like through a windowsill and like out of the window, and now you see like the exterior of the house he's in, like on like second or third floor or whatever, and then even further, and it like sort of kind of like dissolves into like a miniature of like the much larger cityscape, as it then like his like willpower is like then floating across the city to like find her, and then like push his way into her room until she like gasps and wakes up. And it is like so impressively done with like such low-end technology. Still holds up today, I swear. Yeah, this movie, Svengali, do check it out. Perhaps on the day it premiered, 1931. Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, premiered today, 1969. I didn't see this for a while because I was really like a purist. Well, in a couple different ways. For one, for many years I was a huge purist of like just silent and Universal monster movies, or like any of the 30s stuff, pre-code. And then I kind of extended that to like, well, the Technicolor, you know, late 50s, early 60s, although very like the first cycle or two of the Hammer films were really art, high art, and everything after that in the mid 60s and onwards, with a couple of exceptions. There's some highs and lows, peaks and valleys. I just felt like we're, I don't know, not as not as worthwhile in some form or another. And it took me years to eventually get to the later run of the Frankenstein films. And while some of them, yeah, sure, not so hot. Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed, fabulous, fabulous. So do check out this movie. Also, perhaps on the day it premiered. It's 1969. Okay. All across the USA to the film maaAAAhouse, which premiered today, 1974. Excellent, wonderful. I think clearly it's a movie night tonight. This is Vincent Price, like later Vincent Price, much like, you've got like, high points and low points, and like, a band's first 45 is always its best release or something like that. maaAAAhouse would be, several decades into Vincent Price, not just being an actor, because he started as like a kind of romantic heartthrob drama actor, but 2 decades into like his stay as like horror royalty. Consider, I'm gonna say his first real foray into horror films is like House of Wax, if I remember correctly, something like that. And then it continues on with like The Tingler and House on Haunted Hill and a whole bunch more. But like, again, much like the Hammer legacy, a lot of like the 60s stuff, it just becomes kind of rote, or I don't know, where's the magic, where's the excitement? And in the early 70s, I'd say he gets this like, there's this, maybe it's the fact that people can now like have the wherewithal to look back and appreciate their recent past. And so you've got films like Madhouse, you've got films like Abominable Dr. Phibes that take a 70s look at the classic horror films of old, because he's still here, because he's still got it. And why not, like, make this a love letter to one's own legacy, and like just be self-aware in the process. Both those films, I'd say, this is like the high point of later Vincent Price. And it's true, too. 1984, Cyndi Lauper first appeared on Piper's Pit on the WWF. I don't know, I just kind of have a soft spot in my heart for all this stuff. Rowdy Roddy Piper. I saw one of these Piper's Pits when I was a kid, and like, I want to say it was like him and Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and like they just destroyed the whole set on camera, and like it just kind of blew my mind of like how much the third wall and fourth wall and all the walls are being taken down by Rowdy Roddy Piper. Rules did not apply, and Cyndi Lauper was right there for all of it, and like adding to it. So not bad, not too shabby, I'd say. Yeah, so there you go. May 22nd in all its glory. From us to you, till tomorrow. Goodbye.